Despite the medium of video games starting out only able to create a limited series of computer sounds as music due to the technical limitations, the music in video games has gone on to convey those feelings, invoke emotion, and tell stories. Fans of video games have also been heavily involved in making and arranging music, both from and inspired by the games. However, most fan-made music inspired by video games often fall into the trap of relying on the source material as a crutch, via repeated textual references to specific characters and events in the games, or deliberate reuse of leitmotifs or samples from the original games. As a result, it causes video game musicians to be video game musicians and not musicians inspired by video games. However, there are a few who stand alone amongst their contemporaries in both the fan-made video game music genre as well as in the medium of rock music. Founded in 2003, the Protomen are a currently 8-member rock band who use the medium of rock and roll music to tell a story. The story of a city gripped in the iron clutches of a tyrant ruler and the people, man or machine, who work to loosen the grip and free the city. The story is told across 3 main albums, with their 3rd main studio album, Act 3, This City Made Us, finally seeing a release after 16 years of anticipation. Each album has a wide range of similar and contrasting musical styles and influences, from spaghetti western musical theater sounding tunes to synth-heavy 80s style rock anthems. The story told in the music of the Protomen tonally takes after classic cyberpunk dystopias, with visual, audio, and tonal themes from 80s film classics like Streets of Fire and Blade Runner. However, the biggest kicker of them all is that the story told by the Protomen is actually based on the video game Mega Man. What started as a procrastination crunch-induced university final project at Middle Tennessee State University, founding member Commander B. Hawkins was struggling with his song. Having a solid instrumental track, he needed lyrics for the song. Earlier, he had been playing the original Mega Man video games, and the names of the robot bosses echoed in his mind. Eventually, he invited lead singer Raul Panther III to come and read out a list of the Mega Man characters, and the rest was history. In Commander's own words,
"It was the last 2 days of the semester, and I needed a band to record for our final class project. I was new to the school, so I grabbed the only 3 or 4 people I knew that played rock and roll. After a mind-numbing all-nighter in the studio, Do Vendetta was born. From there, it was all gravy. Intense, nerdy, horrible, life-consuming gravy."
Panther is stated,
What drew us to the Mega Man series originally is that there were some serious, fantastic rock and roll jams in the original 6 Mega Man games. On top of the rad music, we could see a tough-as story that was just waiting to break out of those first few games.
Their unconventional garage rock sound struck a chord with many, both video game nerd and music enjoyer alike. It speaks not just to their place in the music industry as an indie rock and roll band making a rock opera about an old video game, but also to their themes present in the story told in the lyrical prose of their song, but also in the composition, performance, and production of their music. In addition to the lyrics and instrumentation in the music telling the story, the Protomen also rely on liner notes found on the libretto included with the physical release of their album, to provide further context that can't quite be conveyed in the musical prose of each piece. More often than not, however, these liner notes can also be found on any lyric sharing website. Some liner notes serve as stage directions, conveying what characters are present and what they are doing, while some weave a tapestry showing the dramatic passage of time happening in the city. While not an essential reading in order to enjoy the music, reading the liner notes along with the music allows for a deeper understanding of the story and themes and gives the necessary context for fans to engage in thoughtful discussions about the story and the characters present therein. The Protomen offer a unique space in fandom and nerdcore music. The story and characters are clearly lifted from Capcom's signature series. However, unlike many other nerdcore musicians who proudly brandish their nerdy connection, unless you know what you're looking for, a fresh listener could totally miss the Mega Man connection found in the lyrics and music. However, Unlike their contemporaries, the Protomen also know that their connection ought to come more from the music and the story rather than the IP. Even in the Protomen community, there are fans who enjoy the music who weren't originally fans of Mega Man in the first place, who were drawn to the band by the music and talent. Even some of my friends who personally have no desire to engage with the wider Mega Man canon were able to enjoy the Protomen and their music. Panther has stated,
"There are characters like Mega Man and Dr. Light and Protoman, and that may be about as far along the actual Capcom canon as we wanted to go. The idea was to take the core of the Mega Man idea and push it in a much darker direction, all while not relying on all the ins and outs of the original storyline."
Their sense of separation from IP is also part of the charm that makes them unique. As to my knowledge, there doesn't seem to be a musical group quite like them in the video game music sphere. Their monopolization of their niche has allowed them to shine on in nerd spaces and get their limited accolades. In this video, I will attempt to give a general overview of the story told in their music and a surface-level analysis of some of the themes and ideas present in their music and story. What is the story? What are these middle-aged weirdos in silver grease paint using goofy pseudonyms trying to tell us about society, progress, and our complacency in the world that we live in? It all started in the year 2000X. Trapped in a dystopian city ruled by the evil Dr. Wily, the main villain from the Mega Man series, a scientist named Dr. Light, another Mega Man character, spent the last 12 years working on something to fight against Wily and his machines, a machine of his own, Protoman. Protoman led a charge against Dr. Wily and his evil robots, taking on the lineup of robot bosses from the original Mega Man game. However, as the smoke cleared, with Wily and countless robots still remaining, Protoman's death was ordered. Looking out upon the people, no one would come to his aid in the fight. Instead, watching in horror as the silent cry of "We are the dead" echoed amidst the crowd. The death of Protoman would haunt the people, and especially Dr. Light, who poured his emotions into a new creation, another robot son, Mega Man. Later, after learning the truth, Mega Man sets out to finish what was started, the fight of Protoman. And that is the basic premise of their first self-titled album, which has been dubbed as Act 1. Conversely, their second album, Act 2, The Father of Death, serves as a prequel, showcasing the falling out between Dr. Light and Wily as the world falls under darkness, and how the machines rose to power and the people grew complacent in their suffering and subjugation to Wily's control. And their third album, Act 3, This City Made Us, we're not 100% sure how the story goes exactly. As of writing and recording, it is currently being released weekly, one track at a time, with the liner notes accompanying the album's physical release in January 2026. But from what we can tell so far, there is a young woman, presumably named Raul, based on comments made by a band member, The Gambler, seeking out either Dr. Light and or Mega Man with hopes of bringing them back into the fight and showing them that there are, in fact, heroes left in man. The Protomen use not just the prose of their lyrics and liner notes to convey their intended themes. Their themes and ideas are also present in the very production of their music. A common theme present within is humanity's complacency in allowing tyranny to rise to power, and the learned helplessness in the masses refusing to fight back. Wily is presented in Act 2 as a charming and charismatic man, with his parts sung by former band member Turbo Lover. His villain anthem, The Hounds, is a big bombastic jazz number where he sings about manipulating the people of the city through the media he controls. It does not matter where you hear it from, whether truth or lies get said on the side. Showcasing how evil may look flashy and appealing, but be sickly and monstrous underneath. Likewise, with the automation of the city's workforce, the people grow complacent with Wily's rule. Yet only after a lone citizen dares to fight back against the tightening grip of Wiley does he reveal his true purposes and put the people under the rule of a tyrant that was always there underneath. Likewise, the exact physical setting of the story is never fully conveyed in any of the music, nor has it been confirmed by any member of the band. This is to allow listeners of the Protomen to transpose the ideas and events to their own city or town. This is evidenced by them changing the lyric of the song Hope Rides Alone from
floors above the dark streets of the city. Dr. Light lives in a rundown tenement.
to
20 floors above the dark streets of your city. Dr. Light lived in a rundown tenement.
when performing the song live, further giving credence that the story of the Protomen is not happening in some far-off land, but rather in the same streets we walk every day to the people we see daily. There is also the conversation in the music about humanity's stand for itself against evil, a resentful sentiment Protoman laments in his song The Stand, Man or Machine, where he berates Mega Man for fighting for a people who won't come to stand with him now and didn't stand with him then. Another common sentiment is that community is needed to stand up to fight against tyranny, rather than standing behind one lone hero. This idea is commonly linked with the bemoaning that mankind can't stand for themselves, evidenced by the lyric in Hold Back the Night. The theme of daring to stand out amidst the complacent crowds is also present in the sound of their music. Act 1 has a very rough and grungy sound, which was intentional, as implied by Commander when he said,
Our first album was made specifically to go against everything our recording teachers and fellow students were trying to feed us about making everything sound pristine and perfect.
Panther has said,
In total, the Protoman story is a tragedy. I don't really expect it to end well for humanity. Our overarching message is that people really need to think for themselves and not follow a crowd. This project started and remains a commentary on the music scene. When we were at MTSU, we were instructed on how to make things sound like everything already sounds, like Nashville pop country. It really infuriated us. The Act 1 sound may not be as pleasing to the ears as your average Taylor Swift jam, but a big part of our message is to go your own way, and we're trying to exemplify that.
As Panther has implied, even the way the Protomen's music is created coincides with the themes presented in it. They alone are among the few willing to make the kind of music that they do. Even in 2016, right as streaming was starting to take over the music industry, they were aware of musicians using the art of the album less and less, as Commander has said.
Since the MP3 took hold and everyone could download single jams from the internet, a lot of people stopped listening to records as a whole, but bands are still doing it in terms of concept albums, just maybe not quite to the extent that we do.
In Act 1, they write about solitary heroes standing alone against the tyrannical regime. The Protomen, a lone band of misfit university graduates filled with passion and fire, use the medium of rock and roll to tell a distorted and twisted retelling of a 1980s video game, standing alone not only amongst their musical contemporaries, but also among their video game music peers who typically only conform to the bounds of the bars and melodies found in the bits and bytes of those classic cartridges. The Protomen are able to draw a crowd with their exhilarating showmanship, catchy tunes, and thought-provoking story. Currently, the fanbase anxiously awaits the drip-fed release of Act 3 on Bandcamp, having currently
12
of the projected 15 tracks released, with new ones dropping each week, leading up to the CD and wide digital release of the album. Whether you're a music nerd who wants some bangin' rock tracks to jam to, or are someone who wants to be carried away on a soundscape and hear a riveting story about tyranny and the need to oppose it, the Protomen have just the music for you. Going forward, I want to do some deeper critical analysis on the Protomen's albums, as well as doing a deeper dive into Act 3, once we have all the tracks and the libretto. Seeing as this is also my first video on this channel, I also plan to talk about other media-related topics other than niche video game-themed rock bands. So if that's something you'd be interested in, feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. Once again, thank you for watching.